how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for joining. I already see in the live chat there's a lot of talks, and I see a countdown going down by Jay. Lovely. Alright, well, today we are gonna try and talk about some of the Ruy Lopez stuff with white, because I was really afraid to start playing Ruy Lopez, and I was a big fan of Scotch and Fortnite, so I thought it's nice to look into something different for a change. So I really enjoyed this line with Queen E2, for example. I'm gonna dive in really fast because I have these 3 games that I really want to show you, and today we don't have 2 hours, we only have 1. So, just saying. Alright, so, hi Peter. Oh, hi Nixon. So, with black I played d6, so seeing how to play d6 was interesting for me, like how would white play it, but right now I want to show you more about the main line with knight f6. So the idea is, like, for example, with knight f6, you know, there are a lot of different ideas with white, right? White can just castle, white can just do c3, d4, a lot of different stuff. So what I started to look into is queen e2, and I really liked it, and I would still try it again, and it's definitely one of my recommendations. Oh, hi MS7, cool. I remember you. I liked South Africa. It was very nice. I was there 2014. Thank you, Imad. Yep, the chemistry exam did go quite well. I have another one on Monday. Alright, back to the chess and stuff. So here, black has different possibilities. There's a bishop e7 that someone played b5 with me. So let's look at bishop e7 first. There are 3 of, these 3 are my personal games that I played, actually all 3 of them in 2017, and I believe all 3 of them were with opponents same rating or slightly lower, so I thought that would be a nice try. So the main idea is with queen c2, with queen on e2, when you play b5, it's already a target, as I will show you in the games that I played, and it's like you're already preparing to use that pawn while confusing your opponent a little bit, so I really like that aspect of it. So here, let's say you do your normal c3 and bishop comes to b3 and normal castle, and you immediately do your rook e1 going for d4. You're doing everything very logical, developing, getting your pieces out, and yeah, martial attack is also possible. I'm gonna show you in another game that I had, TTO. And hi, Anand. Alright, so she played c4. I believe this was, I think this was the female opponent that I had. Yeah, I played her in Prague, but the names are a little hard to pronounce. Sliwicka. I believe she was Polish. Yeah, she was from Poland. She is from Poland. So, all right. And I think she is younger than me. So that was fun. All right. So I got my d4. Now, question for the audience: what do you want to do with whites? Do you want to take something, push something, develop something? So, first question of the day. So quiet. Or if you have other candidate moves, please feel free to share them too. Alright, so Nixon wants d5. Very nice. Alfred wants to develop. Marcin wants to keep the pressure. We do have a h3's recommendation. Knight d2, d5. Alright, so TT0, you were right. If black plays bishop b7, d5 is nice. But also here, d5 is doable, especially because this is something that you can't do knight d2 right now. If knight d2, just simply take and the pawn is kind of blocked. So the idea, h3, I think h3 is also doable. Knight d2 is not, because it's a little bit of a blunder. So that's why you kind of start closing down the center. You kind of invite the bishop to come to g4, and then you push it away. Now, I see this move in the chat, so I'm going to say it anyways. So right now, if it's black to move, black wants to play c4 and start to get more space over here, maybe bring the knight over, whoops. So stuff like that, right? So because black wants this, and you can't just play b4 because you would lose the c4 square, white plays b3. The idea is quite simple. You play c4, I'm gonna play b4. You play b4, I'm gonna play c4. So I'm going to try and close the queen side just so I don't really have anything to worry about on that side, so I can focus on the king side. So white to move, what do you want to do? Think about this, all the things that I just said about queen side and what you might want to do in the king side. Thank you. So, any recommendations, any candidate moves on what you want to do, or a list of the things you might want to do? TT0, yep, you are correct. So knight d2 is going to come up a little bit later. g4 is still premature. King Lear, you are correct. a4. So the idea as a4 is very simple. The same way that I said I'm going to try and close it up, I want to close it up. I want to close that queen side so I can focus on the king side. So thank you for all of you guys who are contributing. So after a4, she played a5. I thought maybe rook c8 might be slightly better, but I would just do the same knight d2, and yeah. So she played a5. So now what do you want to do with white? Keep in mind that white has a slight advantage right now. a5 was not a good move. So to all of you who are suggesting knight d2, knight f1, and then g4, knight g3, you are right, but you need to prepare better for it. So you can't just leave the queen side just hanging and go off to play on the king side. You gotta fix the queen side first and then move to the king side. So now the question is how to do it. Hi Carter. Yeah, Nixon, you're right. Take on b5. And if take on b4, you kind of do have to exchange the rooks. Now you can just take your pawn back. And you have one more pawn on the board right now. So she played knight d7. Now my question is, what do you want to do with white? You do have advantage quite nicely. So how do you want to use this advantage? Yep, Imad, you're right. Yeah, free pawn is free pawn. So now knight c3. I think I was worried if knight c3. Something was rook a1 maybe to try and exchange the rooks. and I didn't like that idea. So I played knight a3, but bishop e3 is the strongest one because see, after knight a3, you're gonna play knight b6, and then this knight is getting really strong and protecting everything. So that's why bishop e3 would have been better. Now if you play knight b6, I can even consider taking, or now I can do knight c3, but this bishop does belong on e3, that's the point. So after knight b6, I tried queen e3 because I wanted to put this queen on c3 like this, and now she played knight d8. So now what do you want to do with white? Yeah, exactly, TTO. Bishop e3 not to allow bishop knight b6. Yep. And yeah, those two are doubled baby queens. You just have to get them to be able to push a little. So now you want bishop e3. I am not entirely sure if bishop e3 is good right now because, well, at least let me just say you have something stronger. Yeah, g4. Thank you for all of you who are saying g4. Bishop g6. Now you do your bishop e3. You're not gonna let your opponent's chances to try and like play f5 maybe, because here, if not g4, if you play bishop e3, white still does hold advantage, but you have to be careful because this knight might want to get jumpy, and the bishop might want to get jumpy from there. So that's why you play g4, so the bishop goes to g6, now you get the bishop out. So let's say you got your bishop out. Now knight a4. Now what do you want to do? Do you want to take that pawn, or you want to take the knight on a4? That is also correct. Thank you. Bishop e3 does give the black chance to just play bishop takes f3 and mess with your pawn structure a little. Yeah, thank you for that. So, Jaroslav, take what? c4, a4? Ooh, this is nice. There are a lot of suggestions of different takes. So let's say you were to take the pawn. If you take the pawn, take, there's knight c3, attacking your rook and that pawn. Let's say you play rook e1, she would pick this up, and now how do you want to advance your queen side? So that's a problem. If queen c4, knight c4, knight comes to c3 and picks up b5. So that's why I didn't play queen c4, because the endgame was actually kind of complicated. So that's why you would go with bishop a4. Rook a4, you are right, this pawn is a little hanging, so you come back and protect it. The thing is, if right now, after bishop a4, bishop takes e4, there are actually many ways to try and play this. One of them is b6. You play queen b7, I come back here. If you take, I just pick this guy up. Let me see, what other stuff can it be? But the simplest one is also just knight to d2. If you take this, I'll just bring the bishop back. So bishop e4 after bishop a4 directly doesn't work. It does weaken e4, so you guys are also correct. But you just play knight d2 and you protect that. So now, knight d2, the one thing that you do have to calculate is rook takes a3. Queen a3 is pretty forced, right? Now c3. How will you deal with this with as white. So white to move, your opponent just played c3. What do you want to do? b6. Well, interesting. What else? I think b6 is a good move. I'm still not seeing the move that I played. So I see b6, I see rook c1, but yeah, you're right. Thank you. Rook c1 is not possible because c takes d2, and you don't want that. Oh, I see. Nikat, queen c1. Yeah. Yep, you were right. There's b6 and then there's queen c1. So let's look at b6 first. And thank you for answering each other in the chat. Gets the discussion going. Very nice. Yeah. So the problem is if you were to play rook c1, the pawn takes your knight, and then if you take rook takes queen, the pawn becomes a new queen. So that's why rook c1 doesn't work. But right now, this b6 actually is very interesting. Queen goes to c8. Now rook c1 works because if take, now you just take back with the bishop, and you push your rook. And next move you have queen a7, or if you try to defend it, now queen a7. If you go up here, I believe just taking here should be sufficient enough as well. So it's very nice. You have those two little baby queens and the rook on the 7th rank. So it's just really nice, right? So b6 also does work. So good job on thinking about b6. Nice intermediate move. Queen c1, however, is what I chose because I didn't want to risk it. And so I just went with queen c1, and she played c2. Rook e1 is pretty much only move, or rook f1, but rook e1 makes more sense, right? Let's say queen c3. Now white to move. What do you want to do? Black is putting some nice pressure, so you gotta play quite accurately. Well, Carter, queen c1, queen c1 is a good move. Just saying, I wanted to show you b6 first before getting into queen c1 deeply. So, white to move, now what? Yes, you are right, b6. Let's say something like h5. Because, alright, so this is actually the game that I played. I did push b6 and she did push h5. So now my question for you is, white to move. Do you see anything to make the position more clear? J, knight b1 doesn't work just because just takes back. So if you were to play knight, if you were to play knight b1, just take, and this is very unpleasant position. What black does have enough compensation, and why would you let your opponent get don't let your opponent slip away, okay? No slipping in my classes. So knight b1 is interesting, definitely, but it does let your opponent slip away a little, so that's why b6 is way more stronger. Now h5. So in the game I played g5, but queen a1 is way stronger. Good job on you guys seeing it. So queen a1, whoa, I was afraid if queen b4, then I wouldn't know what to do. And I thought maybe if rook c1, he just takes, and I don't know what to do now. But this is actually a very good position, because now all you have to do is get this queen out and eat this pawn. no way for black to be able to keep this pawn. So yeah. So after h5, I played g5, and yeah, queen a1 was pretty cool, right? f6, take, take. Now I did the queen a1, queen b4, rook here, take, take, take. So now, white to move. How do you want to start wrapping up? Keep in mind, you still do have to play very carefully, because there are a lot of chances for possible perpetuals or blunders for you over here. So, white to move. Give me a few candidate moves of how do you want to try and win. Queen a8, yeah, queen a8 is what I did in the game. Queen a2 is also very doable, because you are just defending d5 and attacking c2. Queen goes here, you take e4, now queen c8, and this is also very winnable. So instead of queen a2, I went with queen a8 as most of you recommended. Good one. Be careful, Burton. If b7, knight takes check, the knight can just go back to d8. So yeah, be careful with that, because if the knight just gets back, then you're just gave your baby queen up for nothing. So alright, so let's say queen a8, check, e4. Now what do you want to do? Keep in mind that this is coming up and your king might be a little scared. So do you care, or do you want to try and prevent that, or do you want to just go with the plan and play b7? So my question is, you want to play b7, or if something else, what? Bishop f4 is very interesting. Rook g1. Rook g1 kind of scares me, because what if something like check, king comes down, and then like something like queen f6, going for f3, or even queen f5, going for h3 and f3. Bishop f4 is interesting, but I don't think it actually gets much achieved, because what do you do after queen f5? What do you want to do with the bishop? If you go to g3, there are always h4s. If you go back to e3, now there's bishop checks, and this makes it really uncomfortable. So not bishop f4. What else? So b7 is actually good. So the idea is very simple. b7, if you give me check, I'm gonna just play this. If you were to play queen f5, hold on. Let me repeat this. If queen f6, now what you do? Because if queen f5, you do have the chance, if queen f5, you do have the chance to take it over here, right? So, what if queen goes to f6? Now what do you do? Keep in mind, this queen coming to f3 is a problem. So how do you want to stop this queen f3 attack? still don't see this in the chat, so I'm gonna just jump ahead and say it. Yeah, okay, I see it now. Good one. From where? Alright. Apparently we had a hair block. Alright. Glad to be able to hear. Glad you guys can hear me. So, if Queen F6, yep, King G1. Good one. You are all correct. King G1 is the best one. And it kind of stops all of the ideas, and if you continue giving me checks, I can just run away from here and basically see you later. If Queen F5, now let's say take King H7. So now you have to be careful. What do you want to do now? White to move. Please give me a line on how to not get perpetualed. Because right now, this Queen H3 or Queen F3 are the threats trying to perpetual you. So how can you avoid that? Only few more moves left in this game. Queen H4. Ooh, hold on, Nikat. Hold on, guys. Let's all focus on Queen H4 for a second. If Queen H4, how can Black actually use this? Because Queen H4 is a mistake. So how can Black use this mistake? No? No one wants to talk about the mistake? Because Queen H4, you give your opponent a very nice chance to actually slip away a little. That's the thing. No, it doesn't stop the perpetuals. I can't say perpetual more than once or twice in a row. Yeah, good one, Nupur. The key is this Queen D1. Yep. So that's why. And now this is again perpetual with Queen on F3. So that's why Queen H4 is a blunder and you shouldn't play Queen H4. That's why you should just play King G1, avoid all checks. Something like Queen F3. Remember, now there is again this idea with perpetual. So how can you stop this? 3 more moves and my opponent resigned. In a very lost position. So Queen G5 doesn't work just because of Queen H3. So I'm getting a lot of weird Queen G5 suggestions, which I'm not sure why. But Bishop H2 and you are a little whoopsie. So Queen G5 doesn't work, guys. You gotta play it more accurate. So King G1, Queen F3. How do you want to stop this now? Queen D1 is coming up. Yeah, Rook E1. Good one. Good one, Tsubukura. So Rook E1. Now all of the checks and stuff are stopped, right? Queen takes H3. One more tricky move. I know you guys see this one. So now this queen is the problem, right? How can you try and kind of trap the queen, let's say? Queen A5, where are you going? You're getting mated with, like, not mated, but stuff are happening with bishop coming to H2. You are correct. If Queen D1, you can't just play Rook F1. Whoops. Honestly, if this happened in the game with Queen D1, I would just play Queen A5. And it's also holding everything together. So Queen H3, now what? Yeah, good one. Queen C8, thank you. So the idea of Queen C8 is pretty chill. You play Bishop H2, I'm gonna just play King H1. Voila, you go Queen H4, alright, who cares? I can even like try to outrun you and I'm making a queen next move, right? So yeah, this was a very nice game that I had, and my opponent resigned here because it was quite, the game was really pleasant, and she's pretty lost anyways. So yeah, that's the first game that I wanted to show you. I really liked it. It just felt like such a nice, very organized. Everything was very organized. Alright, so let's go back to first move and look at another game that I played in 2017. I think this was in Portugal. The dates sound like February. I think I was in Portugal playing this. Thank you, it was a nice one. So b5. Let's say opponent plays early b5 with bishop c5. So after bishop c5, I tried a c3, but now you see d4, you can't really play it because, well, you don't really want to lose material early on. So I went with d3. I think it is possible to do castle on rook d1 too, but d3 was also my choice because I wanted to get this knight out faster, ASAP, getting this knight to decide that it belongs. Bishop g5, knight coming to g3, and so now yeah, a4 is the main idea. Good one, thank you. So now my opponent actually made a mistake. He played g6. At the game, I remember I considered move g5 just because, well, I wanted to be sure what I was looking at, and I would definitely go for this sacrifice, which is good here, because now your king is, well, right now your king doesn't have a problem, and his king is super weak, and this could just be a very strong attack. Also, knight h5 coming, queen f3 coming, everything is pointing to the attack. So yeah, I didn't prepare this before the game. During the game, I remember I was considering it, if it was possible. And so anyways, he played g6. And so, alright, my question for you. Do you want to try and do short castle, or do you want to try and look at long castle? I do like to do these lectures. Chess and Psychology is my class. I'm here every week. I like it. I like showing my games. Who doesn't like to show their games? Am I right? Everything, yeah. H-pawn. Oh, yeah, in that g5 situation, h5 would be a very nice push. Well, thank you for joining us, Sticks Stone. So that's the thing with long castle, you wouldn't really it's better not to try long castle because, so that was a trick question. If you were to do long castle, you would give your opponents really nice targets like b4, c4, d5, everything is ready. So that's why you would try to do short castle. And so right now it's good to castle. Your pieces are already ready to try and, you know, push a little bit over here maybe. And so he played bishop g4. Now my question for you, what do you want to do with white? Because now g5 is a real possibility. Like if you were to play h3, take, g5 is actually possible now. So you got to be careful about it. So what do you want to do with white? I don't know if Tal would have done long castle, because the position is still, like, it's good to attack, but like you have to try to have somewhat of a logical attack and do like a risk assessment before you start plotting your attack. So that's why I'm saying not really sure if long castle is a reasonable move. King f1, Yasser style, maybe. queen d2. So I like your queen d2 idea, but yeah, Sayed Mahdi, queen e3 is better. Queen e3 is the right move. So queen e3, good one to Subukura. Queen e3. So if, let's say bishop takes f3, now what do? Are you gonna do some little bit of sacrificing or take back f3? So what do you want to do now? Keep in mind, if you take on h6, you are giving your piece kind of for free. Nipur is asking, what if black plays c4? Are you guys, how is the lagging situation? Because some of the comments are few moves little behind. Alright, so I'm getting comments about, I'm getting chat about the current position. Alright, great. So, bishop f6 is definitely a possibility, but it's not good, just queen takes, and this is not a very pleasant endgame to play. Black, it has the upper hand. Black can start pushing stuff, you know, just doing left and right. So, Carter, yeah, if queen f3, g5, knight f5. Hold on, Carter, if queen is on f3, so I'm saying if you take back on f3, g5, knight f5, just take. You don't really have queen h6, so be careful with these little blunders. Yeah, I hear you, but queen h6 is the strongest one, because queen h6, now you have to think about what if bishop g4, right? Because bishop g4 is literally the only move to try and keep the bishop. So let's say black tries to keep the piece. Now what do you do with white? That's the main question you have to be able to answer when you're playing this queen e3 idea. So now white to play. How can you push for more? You just did sacrifice a full knight, so you better have something up your sleeve. Because if you play it a little chilled out, then your position might get a little bit uncomfortable. So, queen g5, nope. Knight f5, king clear, yep, f4. Imad, f3, f4 is much stronger. h3 might come out later, because you might play f4 and then later h3. So f4 is good, yeah. Knight f5. I see that you're going for mate. So what if just take? You take back. You're going after g6. This is interesting, but like something like knight g4 and you are busted. Because if you move your queen, that happens if you take. I mean, it's still doable and very nice, but your bishop feels a little too busted. It just feels like there should be some way to try and get the bishop. So, knight f5 is interesting, but it doesn't work necessarily. TTO, I see. If h3, bishop h5, knight h5, yeah. If bishop goes away, there is knight h5. What I was thinking about was, what if h3, something simple as queen e7. You take. I'll just take over here and attack this guy. Queen g5 seems to be the best one. And it's a nice endgame, but you can get more out of the position with f4. So h3, knight f5, those are all very valid candidates, but f4 is the best one. Just because after f4 you're giving your opponent more chances to mess it up. Let's say opponent tries to do c4 check. Now how do you try to win this? One thing that you can try is d4, take, and something like h5. If you give me d3, I'll just put my king on h1. And now this is also very deadly attack. If you take, I have take, this is falling, this is falling, this is falling, everything's falling. So, yeah, good one everyone. d4, king h1, yeah, those should be your moves. So he played queen e7 in the game. So let's say queen e7, white to move. How do you want to win it? It's not a very hard move, but I would prefer to have, like, you say white does this, black, so this is white's best move, and black's best response to that move is also blah blah. So it would be nice if to have like a full move instead of just half a move. Ideally, f5 is nice, but you have something stronger. You have something way more decisive. First, think about checks and takes, so you don't miss takes. You don't mistakes. Yeah, taking on e5 is the best one, yep. And taking on e5, you're making it clear. If you take back, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go after different sort of mates. d5 or f5 candidate. Thank you for giving me candidate move. Yeah. Thank you, TTO. d5, queen e5, you still have the same bishop takes here. And you are going after these guys, so you are correct. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving the people at the chess club thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your thank you for your thanks. Alright, so black's best move is to play queen f8, right? So if you don't play queen f8, it is mate left or right, different kind of mates. So you do have to play queen f8, and white's best move is also to exchange it off, and now we get into an endgame with 2 pawns more. Very chill, very nice. Everyone's happy with this endgame, right? So I am going to go a little bit faster on the endgame because I'm still hopeful I might be able to show you the other game. And there wasn't much trick in the endgame. Just I tried to do my best to apply pressure to try and get out of possible tricks and checks, to try to get out of possible threats. Reorganizing, getting my rook to the open file, still defending all of my queen side, going after more pawns. Now we start our pushy. No chance of this knight getting naughty checks. And rook behind the pawn. This is already looking like a danger zone, isn't it? I was trying to get to the 40th move to get a little bit more time, but this is a very winning position. Yeah, nobody's happy with this endgame with black, right? So if I'm not very responsive in chat, sorry, I am trying to get to the end of this game with trying to explain it as best as possible. So finally we are reaching a position where it is ready to push h4. The problem is h4, you would be losing g4. So the main idea is to try and have a nice breakthrough like this. So if you take, I have this check, and I have this killer knight d5. And if you don't take, well, you remember how early on I talked about how queen e2 you would be, like, you remember like early on in the Lopez that I was showing with queen e2, I was like, yeah, you see this, there could be b5s and a4s and stuff. Yeah, so I talked about how it could be very dangerous for black. Alright, so this was actually how the game ended. Didn't even need to start pushing. I just started picking up more material, and lovely, right? Alright, so I am going to do another game. I won't, probably I will not ask for questions, like I won't ask you to guess a move, but feel free to type in and I will do my best to read and answer questions. So, in this other game, I played this in 2017 again, and it was a very nice game. Can't remember where, but it was again in Ruy Lopez, and I fully intended to play queen e2, but my opponent played this a6 d6. I played this with black, so I knew what stuff to look out for. And I remember this knight g6. I played it as a kid in 2010. It was very nice, and I knew that this idea with h6 and bishop g5 is black's main idea. So I tried to fight that idea with knight e3 early on. I didn't want to exchange my bishops, so I got to this position. Quite pleasant, right? Castle, you put your bishop on b3, going after stuff over here. You could start looking at d5s. Now, you are clearly looking at this little guy, aren't you? So, in the game, my opponent played queen f6, which gave me a little bit of room to start taking stuff a little bit, because now I got the chance to take on here and get f4 and get bishop d4, which is very pleasant, right? So I'm gonna back up just a second so I can show you what would be better for black. So bishop g4 is actually better for black, and bishop g4 would be something that would be quite annoying for me, because bishop h6 doesn't work here. So if you can, pause it for a second and think why it doesn't work before I show you. So the thing is, bishop h6, there's bishop f3. You take it back, and black doesn't do anything with this side. Black plays bishop knight a5. Now, if you bring your bishop back, black actually has advantage, because there are queen h4s and knight h4s and everything just jumping to h4. So let's say I took over here, you take over there, and finally after this take, this is not good for white. White still has nice pressure, but black, this knight is kind of defending all of it. I'm going to show you a little bit longer of what I looked into, some of the possibilities, and nope, ain't working. So, it is working for black, not working for white, unfortunately. So, let's back up. So, queen f6. Now I get this chance to do my f4. I really like playing f4, if you can say. And bishop d4. And now he had the chance to start pushing a little bit. So he tried to play queen g6. The other chance was with queen e7, but I would definitely play something like h3 and just take over here, and this is lovely. I very much like this position. Very pleasant, getting my rook out, getting my queen out, everything is just ready for more attack. So that's probably why he tried queen g6 with knight f6. Now, it's white's to move. I would again recommend to pause for a second so you get your candidate moves in order before I tell you. But so in the game I played e5, which was a nice move, but bishop c2 is way stronger. So e5 is a very decisive move. Instead of playing like decisive moves that changes the structure, it is a good idea to try, and even psychologically, to just try and come up with more threats instead of just attack, because just the power of the threat is really strong, also psychologically. So something like bishop c2, now your opponent has to like, oh my god, now what can I do? f5 is coming, e5 is coming, rook e3 might be. So there are a lot of things for your opponent to look out for. But when I played e5, I kind of made this clear, like, you gotta touch that knight, man, or you have to take that pawn. If you don't, I'm gonna take your knight. So this was a more forceful move instead of a tricky move. So here's some psychology for you. Alright, so if take, this is very pleasant, because the knight can pretty much only go to h7 and still bishop c5, and I just have so much nice space. The spatial advantage is really clear and quite decisive. So he played knight e4. Alright, so one last question for you guys. What do you want to do? This one I'm actually going to take a second and catch my breath and give you guys 10 seconds to figure it out as well. So knight e4, if you don't play aggressively, bishop f5 is coming and just protecting it all, and everything is nice, right? So what do you want to do now? How can you start exploiting some attacks? And yeah, good one, thank you. Rook e4, queen e4, bishop c2. Now you are going after this weak king, right? Queen d5, queen d3. There's no way for black to try and stop this. g6, e6 check, and you even take that one. So yeah, it was very lovely. I really liked it. This is actually where my opponents resigned. Mr. Domanski. For the life of me, I can't remember where I played him. I know it was 2017. But yeah, well, I hope I gave you some insights on how to play Ruy Lopez with white. Just some very brief with queen e2 ideas and some of the popular sidelines that black could try, that I try with black. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad we managed to get all three of the games here. If you have questions or comments or anything, feel free to put them in the comments. I usually do check them within the next day, and it would be very nice to see what you think about. Alright, thank you everyone, and tune in for Dennis Barros.